I want to say a little bit about how I think you manage change and how you create impact, because that's the key part of this pre-induction period before the course actually begins. And I think there are 4 phases to how you create impact in schools. You have to have a vision. You have to know where it is you're trying to get to. And if you're moving into a senior leadership position, into a school that you've not worked in before, then you need to take your time to talk to people and ask people about their feelings about the school. What works? What doesn't work so well? What would you celebrate about the school? What are the areas that you know are ripe for improvement? And the first 100 days in your new role will give you the answer to some of those questions. What I don't think that you do is you don't go in on the very first day and say, here's my vision for my part of the responsibility. Because at that point you just don't know. But when you have the vision, you then have to turn it into an action. You have to turn it into a set of plans that make some sense, that are transparent, that people understand, that you can communicate easily to staff, to students and to parents, and that are time limited so people get the idea that they contributed to a piece of thinking, but there's going to be an outcome from it. So if vision followed by action are the first 2 parts of that, the third phase is the outcome. You have to create impact. You have to create an outcome from the work that you do. Otherwise people will lose confidence that there's a lot of ideas and some really good blue sky thinking, but it's not actually having impact upon the lives of the children in your school. And the 4th and final part of it is what I call consequence. So you've had your vision, you've had your plan, you've seen some outcomes, hopefully positive ones. Now what is the consequence of that? Because the consequence goes, I think, in 2 ways. There's a consequence for the people for whom the change didn't work, teachers who haven't developed their practice, students for whom they haven't seen any perceivable difference. But there's also the consequence about what do we do next. And that's why that cyclical idea of vision into action, into outcome, into consequence takes you back into the vision again to rethink what it is that you do next. And our course will talk about how you manage change on that whole school scale. One of the things to think about when you take on a promoted post to become a senior leader are the things that you leave behind, but the things that you take with you as well to help you establish your credibility. And there are challenges which are different. If you're promoted within your existing school, people already know you very well. And the benefit of that is they know the things that you do well. They also know the things that you do less well. So you don't have the same fresh start as people do when they move into a new school. But the sorts of things that help you to establish your credibility are these. You still need to be able to be an outstanding teacher. You will have less time to plan and prepare than you did when you were just a classroom teacher, but you still need to be able to cut it so that people can see you working at that level. Otherwise you have no credibility to advise people about their own teaching and learning. You need to be visible. You can't be asking people to do things that you wouldn't be prepared to do yourself. So the visibility of the leader is really important. That's how you establish the credibility. When you're leading meetings, for example, or inset or training sessions, how confident are you about doing that? How do you establish your credibility? Not as being the guru who knows everything, but the person who's had experience of it and can turn that experience into something tangible that will enable our colleagues in schools to perform better and consequently give students a better experience. So what we'd like you to do as you come onto our programme is we want to encourage some real thinking around this. And you'll see on the website that we have 2 written think pieces from 2 colleagues who recently moved into senior leadership within the Cabot Learning Federation into our 2 primary academies. So Sarah Tonsley is Vice Principal at Begbrook Primary Academy, and Becky Sherritt is an Associate Assistant Principal at Minerva Primary Academy. And I asked them to write me a 500-word piece about how they think they've created impact in their current roles. What I'd like you to think about then, by the time we get together for our first face-to-face day, is in 500 words, how you would describe the kind of impact that you've been able to create and generate in your own school. And that can be in any way you want to think about it. But as a result of your leadership, can you tell us what happened that improved the consequence for the school, other staff, but particularly for students? Because we're going to use that piece of work for one of the sessions on our first face-to-face day. And it's an opportunity for you to start thinking both strategically and reflectively about the kind of work that you've had as a leader to feed into the development that we're going to take you on in the next 12 months.